All right, let's get right into it. Today, we're going to talk about a river, but this is more than just a story about water and stone. The Bara River, its story is a powerful and honestly, a pretty sobering warning about what happens when we push a vital resource way, way past its breaking point. You know, the people who've lived alongside the Bara for generations, they have this old proverb. And at first, it sounds a little strange, right? But what it's really saying is that trouble that starts way up in the mountains, far from sight, can show up downstream as an absolute disaster, even under a perfectly clear sky. It's a warning. And that proverb perfectly captures the river's, well, its split personality. For most of the year, it's basically a ghost, just a dry, empty riverbed. Kids even use it as a playground. But then, when the rains hit the high valleys, it wakes up, and it wakes up angry. The most infamous flood, way back in 1929, was so violent it literally carved a new path for the river and just wiped more than 40 villages completely off the map. To really get the scale of what's happening today, we have to look back. We have to remember what the Bara River used to be to understand just how much has been lost. See, this wasn't just any rice. Bahar rice was a legend, a cultural treasure. People from all over knew it for its incredible, aromatic, almost floral quality. It was a symbol of the valley's prosperity, all thanks to the river. It was a taste so unique, people talk about it now like a long-lost love. And here's where the reality of the situation just hits you. Back in the 1960s, you had over 15,000 acres of this amazing rice. Today, it's less than 500. That is a collapse of more than 70%. It's maybe the clearest sign we have that the river is desperately, desperately sick. So how on earth did it get this bad? Well, it wasn't one single thing. It was more like a slow, creeping death by 1,000 cuts. So let's break down the 3 biggest wounds that are bleeding this river dry. The first cut, ironically, started with good intentions. Dams, like the Big Bara Dam, were built to try and control those devastating floods. But, over time, they were neglected. Silt, basically mud and dirt, has just choked the reservoirs. And get this, the main dam was built with a hydropower turbine, ready to generate electricity. It was fully installed, and it has never, not once, been switched on. Now for the second cut, and this might be the deepest one of all. It's this number, over 3,200. That's how many water pumps, some legal, many not, have been drilled into the riverbed. Every single one is like a straw, just relentlessly sucking the river and all the groundwater completely dry. And the result of all those straws? It's been catastrophic. The water table, the underground water level, has dropped by 3 to 5 meters since just 1990. Think about that. In a single generation, the deep water reserves that the whole region depends on have been critically drained. And the final cut? It's just straight up poison. Factories, hospitals, slaughterhouses, entire towns, they've stopped seeing the Bara as a source of life. Instead, it's become a convenient, free-flowing sewer for all of their untreated industrial and human waste. And this assault is coming from every direction. I mean, industrial waste and raw sewage alone make up about 3/4 of all the pollution. The result is this toxic cocktail that is so bad, literally no fish can survive in the main part of the river anymore. The otters left years ago when the fish died. The river's entire ecosystem has just collapsed. Biologically, the Bara River is now considered functionally dead. And what does that mean? Well, tests show E. coli bacteria at 48 times the level the World Health Organization says is safe, and arsenic, a literal poison, is at 5 times the safe limit. This isn't just dirty water anymore. This is a river of consequences. But numbers and statistics, they never tell the full story. The real cost, the true impact, that's felt by the people whose entire lives have always been wrapped up with this river. Just listen to these words from Rashid Khan. He's a local farmer. He says, "I am a prisoner of this river." He's completely trapped. He can't leave the land that's been in his family for generations, but he can't stay because that same land, thanks to the dead river, can't support him anymore. It really makes you stop and think, doesn't it? What is the price? Because it's not just about lost money from crops. It's measured in lost health, lost hope, and lost futures. Or listen to Safia Bibi. Every single day, she has to walk 2 kilometers just to find a hand pump that still gives out clean water. And you can just hear the feeling of abandonment in her voice. She says the government does nothing, the landlords do nothing, only the people suffer. So, after all of this, the big question is, can the Bara be saved? Is there any hope? Or is it just too late? And the answer, well, it's not a simple yes or no. Experts say yes, recovery is possible, but it's going to take a massive shift in how people think and act. First, you have to stop the pollution at its source. It means using water responsibly. It means people have to demand action from their leaders. And maybe most important of all, it means we have to tell the river's story. Because rivers tend to die in silence. And that brings us to our final thought, which is really less of a conclusion and more of a choice. Remember that old proverb? It warned about losing your donkeys to a faraway flood. But the real danger today isn't losing what's on the banks of the river. The real danger is losing the river itself. And that's a choice that we all have a hand in making.